Let's welcome out to the stage our fearless leader, the one and only Brent Daniels. Everybody give it up for Brent.
'23 Growth Summit is officially in session. I love it. I love it. Do you feel this room? Do you feel it? My heart is so full. This is absolutely incredible.
Can you believe we get to do this?
Let's get into some nitty gritty. How I made over $800,000 from one VA phone prospector last year. We're gonna be breaking this thing down, right? And how many people have VAs? How many people, are they making calls for you? Is that what's going on? Okay, good. Pay attention. This is the 7 levels to grow. Take a picture of this, guys. This is so critical. All right? Because when we start out, it's just us, right? It's just us. And we're out there and we're doing every single part of the business. We're doing the lead generation. We're going on the appointments. We're doing the lead follow-up. We're pre-qualifying. We're doing all the paperwork. Right? We're opening up with the title company and the closing attorneys. And then then we sell these properties. And we're working with the cash buyers, or we're taking them down ourselves and doing the flips and doing all of these things. We start out, and then what happens is we stay consistent and we start building some momentum. And the first hire that you should make is a virtual assistant to start taking some of the operations off, right? There's income generating activities, and then there's income servicing activities. Does that make sense? So make sure that you're not spending your time in the income servicing side of your business as soon as you start getting to that consistency, all right? And that's when you hire a virtual assistant to not be making the calls, not taking the lead generation from you, but to just start doing some of the operations. They keep you organized. They put together your paperwork. They're cleaning up all of your lists. They're making sure that all of your lead generation methods are really clean and really tight, okay? And then the next thing is to outsource your lead generation. And I'll switch it to this because I think that this is a better graphic for everybody. Take a picture of this as well. Because this is the stages. I'm telling you, if you skip the stages here, this is when you start slipping back, right? You start hiring too fast. And there's a lot of times where people start building incredible amount of momentum. And then it just starts kind of sliding back, because you take your eye off of the important things. See how much you are involved for a while here? You see you in pink, right? But that's what it is, and it really breaks down to those things: the administrative work, the lead generation, the conversion, and your exit strategies, okay? And so you're doing it all in the beginning, and then you get a virtual assistant to take some of that administration work. And then this level 3, this is when it starts getting exciting, because this is when you start outsourcing your lead generation. And that's really what I'm going to talk to you about today, so that you can be really, really, really tight with this. Because you get really good at this, you can have somebody that's an absolute rock star, and you don't treat people like robots that are in your business. All right? Level 4, obviously you get into bringing on acquisition managers. If you guys have not met my acquisition managers, Ryan and Chad in the back, make sure that you meet them, be around them. They're absolutely the best of the best. But they start taking off some of these, right? They start taking out, you start getting a junior acquisition manager to just warm up your leads, right? You've got a bunch of leads and you have your junior acquisition warm them up to the point where they're ready for an appointment. And then you go on that appointment, you lock that up, you're the closer, all right? And then you transition out to where you've got an acquisition, you take that junior acquisition manager and you move them in after they've earned that right, after they've done the work, after they have the skills. Then you bring that acquisition manager to fully take over that. But look where you're still at. You're still lead generation. This is the biggest part where I see people give up too early on their own lead generation and they try to outsource it too fast. What I'm talking about with hiring somebody to make your calls and to do that for you, it's and, not or. It's you and them. Stay in the pocket, stay generating the leads. Because what happens is when you're having quality conversations with distressed property owners, one, it's a skill that's gonna last with you forever, right? But also you're gonna know which lists are the best. You're gonna know who to go after. And when you know who to go after, you can really make your team efficient. Then level 5, level 6, level 7, you guys get it there. You guys took a picture of it. It's basically at level 7, you're out of the business. And that's when you're working on it, not in it. And that's exciting. That's where we all want to be. All right? And you're only 6 months away from being a level 3 business. Doesn't matter where you're at. To outsource your lead generation. You're still in the income generation, but you're taking the income servicing part of your business and you're giving it to somebody else that's better at it, that's more organized. All right? So let me break down what it looks like at scale. All right? Now, the interesting thing about my caller, Fran, is she didn't want me to put a picture of her up. She didn't want me to put her full name up. I don't know if she's running from the law. I don't know what she's doing. She's an American living in Costa Rica. She's absolutely incredible. She's been with me for 4 years. So I put a young picture of Fran Drescher up. A lot of people in here do not know who Fran Drescher is. But this is Fran. She lives in Costa Rica. I found her through a company called Call Motivated Sellers. All right? Call Motivated Sellers. And she's worked for me since 2018. I've never met her. I don't even know what she looks like, to be honest. Kinda know what she looks like, but not really. It's a mystery. But everything's been done over Zooms, and she gets on and she does her work. Now, the interesting thing about Fran is we did a DISC test. Are you guys familiar with the DISC test personalities? Right? This determines there's 4 main personalities, right? A driver, an analytical, a expressive, and an amiable personality. And you would think that somebody that's on the phone all day would be an expressive personality, right? Or a driver, she's just gonna get it done. She is 100% an analytical, like an engineer brain. Isn't that crazy? Guys, use this when you are hiring, okay? Find people that love structure. They love being very secure and knowing what they're gonna do every single day. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. She loves to know that if she does this, she gets paid this. And this is how many hours that she can work. So when you're going to hire a VA to make your calls to start working with you, not to replace you yet, but to work with you, get somebody that's an analytical. Have you ever talked to an engineer and then once you get them out of their kind of bubble, their safety zone, their force field, you can't get them to shut the fuck up? Anybody? They're just like, oh my God, what is happening here? I unleashed a monster, right? That's Fran. That's what you'll get. It's absolutely incredible. And so she's done incredible work for us, but let's work but I'll tell you what, well, I'll show you. I don't want to jump ahead. Here's the thing. Fran sourced $800,684 of income for my wholesaling business, and I paid her $36,000. That's a return on investment. And let me tell you something about lead generation. Any lead generation you have should be a 1-to-4 ratio. Minimum. If you're not getting a 1-to-4 ratio on your marketing, you are 90 days away from being out of the business because it'll just eat up all of your profits. Does that make sense? So 1-to-4 is absolutely the minimum. And with Fran, again, I paid her, she made $800,000. Can somebody do that math? Do we have somebody that has that brain that can just put 800 into 36,000? 22x. Absolutely love it. Here's their numbers breakdown. This is gonna shock you guys, I think. It shocked me. Not really, because I understand it and we're in Phoenix and you have to talk to a lot of people. But look how many calls she made. I'm trying to get some of y'all to make 5 calls. I'm trying to get some of y'all to make 1 call. She made 271,000 calls. Woo! She talked to 28,000 people. 28,000. I'm trying to get you to talk to 10. I'm trying to get you to talk to 200. She talked to 28,000 people. She had a 10% contact rate. Anytime that you are making calls, you want to be between 7 and 10%. 10% is phenomenal. She makes 17 contacts an hour, and she had 594 leads. That's somebody that said, yes, they want to sell their property, right? Because when you call somebody up and you ask them if they would consider an offer on their property or when do you plan on selling their property, there's only 6 responses we get, right? Yes, they do. No, I don't want to sell my house. Maybe in the future. How much will you give me? Who are you and how'd you get my number? That's it. Anybody have any other ones that they've run across? Where am I going to go? That's a maybe. That's a maybe for sure. But that's it. So if you understand that there's only 6 responses, guys, find an ugly house. That's it. Find an ugly house. Call them up. Ask them if they want to sell their property, if they would consider an offer, and they give you one of those 6 responses. You learn how to respond to those 6 responses, and now you're having a conversation. That's all this business is. Conversations and offers. Conversations and offers. Everything that you want financially, every goal that you have, whatever your business plan is, whatever your goal is, comes down to conversations and offers. That's it. So have better conversations by learning to know what to say when people respond to you. So she averaged 5,000 calls a week and 539 contacts per week and 11 leads. Those leads come in, it goes to Jackie, it goes into her CRM. She goes and filters through them, and she gives them to Chad, our junior acquisition manager, to warm up and shorten the timeline. And then they go to Ryan, and he closes them. And that happened 11 times. 11, that's not a lot. Yeah, but it was worth $72,000 every time. Right? Let's all clap for that. Holy cow. This is the interesting part, right? She called for 1,600 hours. It took 146 hours of her calling per deal. This is why I tell you and encourage you to make the calls yourself as well, because you're going to be closer to 20 hours, right? But if you're calling and you have somebody like this calling, it just blows up your business. And we had to have 54 leads per deal. Now, a lot of those leads, a fraction of those leads will still close in the future, right? We'll still be able to close those. They're still in the pipeline. They're just not ready yet. But now we've got the opportunity, and that's all it is, conversations and offers. And so it took, on average, 146 hours to get a deal, and that deal averaged $72,000. That's the interesting thing about going direct to seller, right? There's a lot of strategies. There's a lot of strategies at getting referrals, which are phenomenal. There's a lot of strategies on selling other people's deals and being dispo. It's a wonderful strategy. $72,000 a deal, though. That's the rocket fuel for our business. That's the difference. The average that you get when you're selling somebody else's deal is $5,000, $7,000, $8,000. You got to do 10 of those deals. We got to do 1. Maybe change it a little bit, right? It's an incredible business to be able to just get referrals and dispo deals, but it is unbelievable when you close these type of deals. Because I'm telling you, you close a deal that's over $50,000, it breaks your brain. It breaks your brain. You'll change forever. I remember, I was talking about this last night. I did my first 3 deals, and I had my license, and I had given these deals to a investor that I know, and he was giving me 3%. And I would look on the settlement statements, and he wasn't on it. Some other company was on it. And down at the bottom was $30,000, $30,000, $32,000, the first 3 deals that I found. He had made $92,000 because I had given him these deals. And I was like, what is happening here? What is happening here? I was like, how are you flipping these houses? You don't even own these houses. He's like, oh, no, I sold the contract. And I was like, what? And then he was trying to like throw like some hurdles at me. And I was like, can I do that? And he's like, do you have the money to close? And I was like, no. And then I went to a meetup group, and there was a hard money lender there that was giving 100% financing for deals. So I said, so I can just bring a deal to you and you'll give me 100% of the money? And he's like, yeah, as long as it's a deal, we'll underwrite it. I instantly became a cash buyer of every property. So I was dry. I like had a renewed sense of self. It was incredible. And my dad, I don't know if you guys have met my dad, gave me his old Lexus because I had my cars repoed and I had a 430 credit score and I couldn't get a checking account because Chase Bank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo and a local credit union wouldn't give me a checking account. They thought I'd overdraft it. And so, and the back window that I had gotten blown out by a hailstorm. So I had a plastic bag and like packing tape. Not even like good tape, like just like the stuff that you pack boxes with. So I parked around the corner. I saw this house. It was Tommy's house, and it had wood covering the window. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get it. And so I went back to the office. I found his number. I called him up. He was working at the meat counter at a grocery store. He had inherited the property from his grandpa. And he said, oh, I just sold that property. And I was like crestfallen. I was like, oh no, man, this would have been a good one. And I said, well, so you already signed the contract? He goes, yeah, I signed the contract, but I just left it on my front porch. They're supposed to pick it up. I said, did they sign it? He goes, no, they haven't signed it yet. They just left the contract with me and I signed it and I left it on my porch. And I was like, what'd you sell it for? He said, $65,000. I was like, oh, if I could give you more, could we rip up that contract? And he's like, yeah, do you want to see the property? I'm off in like a couple hours. I went there, parked around because I had, a hole in the back of my car. I go there and there it is. There's like, I don't know, a scattering of 97 cigarettes laying around on the ground and this contract for $65,000. And I brought my contract and I gave him $68,000 and I tore up that contract right in the front. Can we get some? I go back to my car. I call my buddy Casey, who's doing projects in the area. Then I say, hey, what will you give me for this property? He said $110,000. $42,000 deal. Incredible. Just conversations and offers. Ugly houses, conversations and offers. And then from there, you get something like that and your body starts shaking. You have like $40 cash and no checking account. And you're like, do I have to take this to the cash checking place? They're going to take 10%, right? That's where I was at. I was able to get a checking account. I had to send in $500, got some real silly online account. But it goes like that, right? As long as we're having conversations, quality conversations with distressed property owners. And then once you're able to build a bank account up, then you start hiring really great talent. And I will tell you this, hiring A talent is the absolute key to this business. The best of the best of the best. Everybody that I have the fortune to work with in my company is the best at what they do. They're absolutely the best, and it builds a long-lasting business, and that's the point. Because going out there and helping all these property owners that don't know what they're doing with this property, they don't know what's happening, they're totally stressed, they're going through situations where it's divorce or it's, they inherit a property they can't fix up or they can't make their payment or some life-changing thing happened, and helping them move on and seeing the relief in their eyes as soon as they sign that purchase agreement. And the text messages and the Christmas cards that you get afterwards are absolutely incredible. And we make a fortune. It's incredible. This is the greatest business of all time. Do you agree? Come on. Oh my gosh. Anyway, here you go. Let's get into the nitty-gritty here. All right, this is how you manage them. This is how you make sure that you have a rock star and you keep a rock star, okay? Number one is make them feel secure that they're not gonna have a new boss next week. Okay? Make sure that they feel that they are actually part of your company. All right? Because if you don't, they're not gonna put their heart into it. If they feel insecure and they're gonna have to learn a new script, they're not gonna pour their effort into really understanding your script, really understanding what you're trying to do, right? And the conversations that you're trying to have. This one is gonna bug you guys, but I'm telling you, this is probably the most powerful one here. Audit every call they have that is over 3 minutes. You can easily record these calls and audit every single one that is 3 minutes. Typically, it's about 2 to 5% of their contacts. So it's not overwhelming. But you need to then review it every single day with them for 15 minutes. And it's got to be 99% positivity and 1%, hey, let's improve on this. All right? Pour into that relationship. If you do the set it and forget it type of thing, it's not going to work. Make sure that they know that they're important and they're going to be around and that you're pouring into their skills. And don't work on too many things at a time. All right, now when you're listening to these calls, here's your tips, all right? The first 5 seconds is everything. The first 5 seconds gets you the next 30 seconds. Some issues that we run into when we hire people that live in other countries are connection issues, right? When there's like a no sound when you answer the phone and it's a stranger, you're like, oh, here we go, right? Already, that force field that we naturally put up is now made of bricks, and it's just not gonna get through. Script, tone, pace. This is what you're listening for. Are they getting in there? Are they mirroring and matching? Are they making them laugh? Are they getting them to open up? Are they getting them to teach them something? Right? This is how you really get them good. This is what you're listening for the quality. When you're reviewing people that you want to hire, you're listening for this in the calls that they send you that they've already done. How's their tone? How's their pace? And are they using the script? Are they actively listening? Sure. Great. Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's Oh, wow. Right? This is what, if there's no active listening, it's not a conversation, it's an interrogation. Let me just ask you questions. Right? You ever have somebody there, you're just talking to them, they're just asking you question after question? I'm not gonna answer fully here. I'll just give like quick little short answers and be done. But if it sounds like a conversation, they'll open up. Confirm and approve. Yeah, that makes sense. You want $1 million for your $100,000 house? Okay, great. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, okay, right? Because it doesn't really matter. Like the interesting thing is you will get down to what their problem is if they have a problem and if they've made the decision to sell their property. So it really doesn't matter. But if you want to cause friction in the conversation, tell them they're wrong. It never works. So confirm and approve. It doesn't really matter. See what the actual problem is. That's all we're looking for. What is the problem? And have they made the decision that they are going to sell this property? Pre-qualify using the 4 pillars. Does everybody know the 4 pillars? Okay. Condition, timeline, motivation, price. Right? That's the skeleton of every conversation that we have. Condition, timeline, motivation, price. So as long as we can pull that out, we know that we're getting the information we need to see if we can actually be of service. If not, then we got to move on. And then anytime somebody asks a question to your VA and to yourself, make sure you answer it. Make sure they answer it. How much will you give me for the property? How much do you want? That's not the right way. You know, I'm not sure yet. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions to get caught up to speed on the property? Make sure that they're not just hitting them back, hit them with a question, right? Answer it and then ask a question. When you are using all of these skills, when you are auditing and when you are training, they're gonna have so much more certainty on the phone. They're gonna have so much more confidence on the phone. They're gonna really be able to get deep into what is going on. And that's really their job. That's really our job when we're doing it ourselves. But as you hire somebody, this is how you make sure that they stay in and stay with you and get actual leads. Is this good? Because everybody wants to hire out, right? But really, this one here, don't slide back. Don't pull yourself out until this point, okay? I'm telling you, this is the blueprint. This is how you really build a long-lasting business to where you don't have to step all the way back. Okay? Awesome.